So what's going to happen? What's going to happen? I mean, I know you can't tell the future, but right now the banks are starting to back off and saying, okay, you don't owe us as much money. I mean, they should go to jail, much less not.
Well, the thing is not really in the hands of the banks anymore. It is in the hands of the British and the Dutch and the Icelandic governments. And that is the big problem. It is being driven through the financial ministries of these countries instead of taking it as what it is. It is a foreign affairs issue.
Well, why can't your parliament march in and take over the Treasury?
There's nothing in the Treasury. It's just
no, I know, but I'm saying you're saying the bureaucracy is still making the decisions, but you're the boss. You're the people's representative. I mean...
Well, the thing is, you know, the petition and the fact that we get to vote on it, I really hope that they will not take that away from us. They can take the voting from us by pulling back the bill. But I really think it is extremely important that we have this national referendum because it will set an example for that the people can, again, call for national referendum if a certain percentage of the nation calls for it.
And that's coming up soon.
Yes, it's set for around 27th of February. So we'll see what happens in the meantime. I'm part of, since I'm acting chairman right now for the movement, I get to go to all the heads of state meetings and so forth, and we're trying to form a sort of a joint approach to this, which I think is very important, that the politicians who are supposed to be representing the nation come out with a strong message that we, you know, are not going to take this as it is today, because I feel it is more than anything a blackmail, and especially, you know, because the British and the Dutch have also been saying that if we don't do what they say, our application to the EU is not going to happen. And
but why would you want to be part of the EU and go under all their taxes and control?
Well, I don't want to do it, especially because I'm in the committee that deals with the application, and I've seen what sort of thing the European Union is.
Tell us what the European Union, as a member of Parliament, seeing the application. Tell folks what it does. I mean, that's like saying, give us all your power or we won't beat you in the head with a hammer. Don't you want to be beaten in the head with a hammer? We're going to take away you being beaten in the head with a hammer if you don't do what we say. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like, if you don't do what we say, we're not going to make you eat 20 pounds of rotten meat.
Well, it's a very strange organization, which is probably the heaven of bureaucrats. And
the heaven of bureaucrats, yes.
Yes. But the Social Democrats, who are the biggest party now, it's been their dream for a long time to join the European Union, so they put in the application. And they had sold the nation. That was another con. They sold the nation that, in order for us to see, you know, what the European Union has to offer to us, we have to apply. But they did not tell us that it actually is an integrational process. And in the meanwhile, you know, while we're really suffering from this financial collapse, we're spending so much money on this particular application, whereas you could get all the information about the deal without applying.
Amazing. Absolutely. I mean, the EU is completely undemocratic. The bureaucrats will take you over. If you started saying you agreed with them and if you voted for it, you'd suddenly have some $500,000, $300,000 lavish job in Brussels. They're exempt from most of the taxes they levy on the countries. I mean, that's the mark of corruption, is when the government is exempt from the laws the people are under.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't think, you know, and anyway, if, you know, I work for the EU, this is not the right time to go and apply for membership because, you know, we're on our knees. And that is not a good space to negotiate at all for a good deal.
But if the banks still take over and loot you guys, the public's going to rise up again. Certainly your populations learn the lesson that standing up's the answer.
Absolutely, and I really, really hope that by, you know, if we can get support from people from around the world who are fed up with the same sort of, you know, responsibilities they're given by the bankers, but basically, you know, they're basically erasing the middle class. That's what they're doing. Every time you get a house, you own a house, or you have savings, they suck it out when their bubbles burst. So we need to do this together.
We do. We're doing it together. Final segment coming up. We may twist our arm to 5 more minutes after that so we can take calls. Scott, Fred, Alex, Rick, stay there. You'll get to talk to the member of Iceland's parliament straight ahead. Jonsdottir, chairman of her party in Iceland, member of parliament. She's with us for another 5 minutes in the next hour. Then we are joined by Catherine Austin Fitz. You do not want to miss that on Bankergate. This is the big issue that affects everybody. And she was Assistant Secretary of Housing and Federal Housing Commissioner in the first Bush administration. Always powerful interview. That's coming up. But right now, let's go to your phone calls for our guests. Scott, you're on the air from Texas with our guests. Go ahead, Scott.
Hi, Birgitta. Back during the banking crisis when it hit the news here, Ron Paul was interviewed and asked his opinion of what we should do. And, of course, he said, let the banks fail. And then they asked Dr. Paul, well, what does Congress think we should do? And Dr. Paul said, Congress doesn't have a clue. Do you have the same frustration in Iceland? Would you say it's the same level that Dr. Paul has here of the ignorance, just plain old ignorance that exists in the body of lawmakers?
Absolutely. Thank you for this question. I think it's actually been quite shocking to see the level of ignorance and lack of being able to see the whole picture. And I remember I went to Parliament when they passed the emergency law. I was just an ordinary citizen back then. And I was looking at the members of Parliament, and they all looked like a 5-year-old children feeling really embarrassed about the situation. It did not make me feel very comfortable.
And then the expert bankers from the Treasury prance in and use a bunch of fancy language and tell them what to do. It's time to arrest these people.
Absolutely. One good thing about this entire economical collapse in Iceland, I don't know how it is in the States, is that people have actually educated themselves a lot about what real economy is.
Yes, it is waking people up. That's been the good byproduct.
Yes. So I have a tendency to try to look into, what can we learn from it, and are there any positive elements in the particular situation? And I think there is a lot of good positive elements in this. For me, it is a dream come true to see the Icelandic wake up to realize that they can actually be the change makers in their own world.
Yes, real change, not fake Obama change. Thank you, Scott. Good question. Fred in Ohio, your question to the lawmaker from Iceland.
Yes, my question to your guest, Alex, is how can we, the American people, support your fight in your fight for sovereignty, and what supplies might be needed?
Well, I'd say this. Email their media, letters to the editor, call people you know in Iceland, spread the news, the articles that our guest, Jonsdottir, writes. What else can they do to support your fight against the New World Order?
We're setting up a site that is going to be up in about a week called, and I'm just reading out the site address. It's not ready yet. It's going to be probably something on it tomorrow. It's savethepeopleoficeland.com. And I think more than anything, the Icelandic people need to feel that they are supported by you guys who are listening to this and who have been reading my...
Yes, savethepeopleoficeland.com. Savethepeopleoficeland.com. What great questions. Anything else, Fred?
No, that's it. Thank you.
We're going to come back and talk to Alex and Rick and a few others. 1 minute break, final 5 minutes with Birgitta Jonsdottir. I'm Alex Jones. Worldwide, the people rising against the international banking crime syndicate. We must prevail.